Hello, this is Burnham again. I'm kind of back at this little spine here. I went along this way for a little while, and then it ended up just becoming extremely loose with a difficulty at least as comparable to the Scotty Mountain cross-country hike I did in April of 2019. So I'm not going to do the dummy thing and continue on. See, back then when I did Scotty Mountain, I was in better hiking shape than I am now. So I'm keeping this as a lesson to know your limits when you're hiking and don't exceed them. You know, you could always work on strengthening your hiking ability. You can always work on that, but don't be ashamed that when you get to a point on an attempted hike that you don't feel comfortable going on because the soil's loose, there's maybe the scrambling's too technical for your ability. Don't be ashamed. Eventually, maybe one day you'll be able to get up to a point where doing that hike might be okay. I'm deciding to call it quits over here because I don't want to overwhelm myself trying to get up that way. The soil's extremely loose. I'm going to go around this way. Soil is extremely loose, and you're going to have to fight with all your leg strength and sometimes your upper body strength to lean into the climb. So I am going to make the decision to abort because it's loose in spots over here, but up there it's much worse. It's much worse, and every step up requires a huge exertion on your upper body, of course your legs. Obviously your legs have to bear the brunt of this. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to that little mound over there. Try to go over to that little mound and go kick it over there for a little bit. So I said, don't be ashamed. I'm sure as heck not ashamed that I didn't make it. I mean, I wasn't even close. I probably had another 1,500 feet to go. But I would rather be safe than sorry, because I have had issues before. I've had the Occidental Peak hike near Mount Wilson. That's an example. I tried to down climb a class 4 ledge to bail out of a hike. See, I realized my limits because there's a lot of scrambling at the last saddle between the one of the false summits and Occidental Peak itself. There's actually a rock scramble. If you're coming from the Eaton Saddle area, which I did, if you go from the Mount Wilson side near the observatory area, it's supposed to be not as bad. But there's actually a rock scrambling section which requires at least class 3 over there. And I tried to bail out, but instead of just hoofing it along the ridge like I did on the way there, I tried to bail out by going down a gully, and then I ended up slipping and falling off of a class 4 ledge and tumbled down. So I'm realizing that in my current state right now, in other words, being still a bit out of shape, but still eager and willing to try up to a certain point, I did come up a good few hundred feet, and as far as I did get, that could be considered a portion of me, you know, getting used to it. It's just taking on the whole deal right now. It's probably not a wise decision, at least not for me right now. Said I probably have about close to 2,000 feet of gain to get to the ridge line. Probably a little bit less. Well, maybe 1,500 to get to the ridge line. I want to say I made it up to about 7,500 feet, maybe a little bit higher. Looking at Vincent Gap Peak, I look like I'm a little higher than it. Vincent Gap Peak is an unofficially named peak over there, right above Vincent Gap, and it's right next to really close to Jackson Flat, but it's closer to Vincent Gap. Yeah, actually, judging from it, I think I'm a little under it. So I've come down a little ways, but that's what I face going up right there. Extremely loose, and it's about the same difficulty as the Scotty Mountain hike I did. However, I was hiking almost constantly around that time, so I was in much better shape than I am now. And plus, considering how hot it is, well, I mean, it's not exactly hot, but the sun is more intense at higher elevations. So it makes the air feel very warm, and it makes it a little tougher. And plus, I haven't been at elevation, so I say you can always increase your limits. But don't go beyond your limits. So by training, getting proper exercise, and hiking in, you can get a pretty good handle on even terrain like this. Like I said, I made it all the way up to 2,400 feet up to Scotty Mountain. The 2,400 foot climb on soil that was just like that loose stuff is just up the hill from here. This over here is not as bad, but it's steep and very loose. So you want to be in shape. You want to have a good level of fitness to try some of these off-trail scrambles and climbs. And definitely, if I weren't using these, then I probably would have even had a harder time getting to where I did. So I'm not ashamed. I will admit that I am not adequately prepared for such a long, extended, scree and loose dirt climb as I should be to do that. Am I in a bad mood about it? No, I'm not. I'm here in one of the most beautiful places, the Angeles National Forest, one of the most beautiful mountain ranges I've ever experienced. So, kind of hard to think negatively. So therefore, I'm not going to think negatively. I'm here in extremely beautiful, secluded, perfect for social distancing. Yeah, I'm fully vaccinated. I've been fully vaccinated for almost 2.5 months, and yet I'm still trying to be careful because of that Delta variant. They say even that people who are fully vaccinated should still wear their masks in very busy places. And where I work in a grocery store, so I still wear my mask every day. A lot of my coworkers aren't. A lot of my coworkers are not wearing their masks. And some of them aren't even vaccinated. There's some that just refuse to get it. But, you know, I'm not here to debate about the vaccine. That's not my issue. It's just I'm enjoying doing these social distancing hikes, and it's beautiful up here. There's a little footpath along here too. Really faint use trail. So I'm gonna go follow it over to that little point over there. There's sometimes a use trail over here. It doesn't matter. Beautiful terrain up here. So I love taking a camera with me, even on so-called failed missions, because whether you make it to the destination or not, there's something about the journey that's really awesome. This little ridgeline is pretty neat. And that's the one that eventually ends up there. And that's where you gotta go and scramble up the loose soil. It's footing's a little awkward over here too. But seems like there's some type of a footpath over here, so I'm gonna follow this. I'm gonna go to the end of go to the high point of this little mound. I was hoping to visit this on my way out too. I think that's what this use trail was. That's coming up from the highway. It's just a little path to this lookout point here. Probably your best bet is to use the Dawson Saddle Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail up the switchbacks to Baden-Powell. It's probably your best bet, to be honest with you. Unless you're extremely proficient. And I'm pretty good at off-trail hiking in the sense of I'm pretty good at navigating my way around. But right now, my issue is my fitness level is not quite there yet. It's a little sketchy over here. It's not terrible, but you gotta watch your footing over here too. I'm actually tired already. Unless you're in extremely good shape, the hike up that slope will make you tired. A lot of logs around here. Oh boy. Said hiking cross country can be fun, but if you do it right. Well, I think my battery's going to die out, so I'm going to go ahead and shut down. I'll meet you up at the point.